The galaxy had seen many wars, but the war between humans and the Kari Dominion was one of the hardest. It lasted for many years. Planets burned, ships were destroyed, and thousands of lives were lost. Every battle left scars in space like scratches made by giants fighting in the stars. Humans were strong, clever, and quick to learn. The Kari were a proud alien race, tall and powerful, with scales like armor and eyes that glowed with golden light. Both sides believed they were right. Both sides fought to protect their people. And because both sides were strong, the war seemed endless. But now something rare was happening. A peace meeting. Human Captain Rylan Hayes was chosen to lead the peace talk. He had fought in many battles, but he was known not only for bravery. He was known for thinking before acting. He always tried to find a way to protect others. Many soldiers respected him. He stood inside the great throne room of the Kari. The room was huge, made of dark shining stone. Light from glowing crystals filled the air. High above, banners of violet and gold hung, showing the royal symbols of the Kari Dominion. Around him stood Kari guards, tall and strong, holding spears made of plasma energy. They watched him carefully, but not with anger. Instead, they watched him with interest. Humans were smaller compared to them, yet humans had fought them for years and never gave up. That earned respect. At the far end of the hall, sitting on a high throne, was Queen Syraxis, ruler of the Kari. Her scales were deep silver, her horns curved like a crown, and her eyes shone like molten gold. She did not look cruel. She looked powerful and calm. She had the presence of someone born to rule. Rylan stepped forward and bowed slightly. His voice was steady. "I have come to make peace," he said. The queen raised one hand, and the entire hall fell silent. "I know who you are, human," she said. Her voice was deep but smooth, like sound echoing in a great temple. "You are Captain Rylan Hayes, the one who did not retreat at the Battle of the Shattered Moon, the one who protected civilians even when surrounded, the one who thinks of others before himself." Rylan did not respond. He did not know if her words were praise or warning. The queen stood up slowly. "The war must end," she said. "We cannot continue to destroy each other. Our worlds bleed. Our children grow up knowing only fear and hatred." Her golden gaze fixed upon Rylan. "I will not allow this any longer." Rylan nodded. "Then we can sign a treaty, a peace agreement, one that both sides follow." But the queen shook her head firmly. "No, treaties are weak. Paper breaks, promises fade, leaders change, old hatred returns." She took a step forward. "To truly end war, our futures must become one, bound together, connected by life itself." The hall became silent. Even the guards held their breaths. Rylan looked confused. "What do you mean?" Queen Syraxis spoke clearly, her voice echoing through the chamber. "You will marry my daughter." A shock ran through the hall. Even the humans gasped in disbelief. Rylan blinked. "What?" "You will marry my daughter, Princess Valira," the queen continued. "And in doing so, our two peoples will be joined. Your children will be heirs of both empires. They will be symbols of unity, symbols of peace." Rylan was speechless. Marriage with an alien princess? This was not something a soldier expected. The queen pointed one clawed hand toward him. "You humans are strong. You adapt. You learn. You endure when others would fall. Your courage in battle has earned my respect. I offer you honor. I offer your people a future without war." Her voice lowered, softer but still powerful. "You will give us strong grandchildren, children who will be the bridge between our worlds." Rylan's thoughts raced. Marriage was not a small matter. This decision would not affect him alone. It would affect two entire civilizations. He needed to see who he was being asked to marry. "May I meet the princess?" he asked. The queen nodded once. The tall doors behind the throne opened. A figure stepped into the hall, Princess Valira. She was tall like all Kari, but slimmer with silver-white scales that shone softly in the light. Her eyes were bright, calm, and intelligent. She did not walk like a soldier, but like someone who carried quiet confidence. She stopped in front of Rylan and studied him with steady eyes. "I have heard of you," Valira said gently. "You are known for courage, but also kindness. You do not throw lives away for victory." Rylan tried to smile. "I only try to do what is right." "That is a good answer," Valira replied. "And a good quality for a leader." The two looked at each other. There was no anger, no hatred, only curiosity and uncertainty. Then Rylan asked the most important question, "Do you want this marriage?" Valeira did not look away. Her voice remained calm. "If this marriage can save our people, I will accept it. I want a future without more war, a future where children from both worlds can grow without fear. If this union can help build that future, then I choose it." She did not sound forced. She sounded honest. That surprised Rylan. The Queen spoke again. "This decision is yours now, Captain Rylan Hayes. Accept and peace shall come. Refuse and war will continue." The hall became silent once more. Even the air felt heavy. Rylan felt the weight of thousands of lives pressing on his shoulders. Soldiers who wanted to return home. Families who wanted their loved ones back. Children who deserved to grow up under open skies and not under falling bombs. He took a slow breath. "I need time," he said softly. "One night. To think carefully." The Queen accepted with a nod. "You shall have one night. A guest chamber has been prepared. Tomorrow morning you will return here and speak your answer. The future will change depending on your choice." Guards escorted him out, but Valeira watched him leave, her eyes thoughtful. That night Rylan stood on the balcony of his guest room. The Kari capital stretched below him, glowing with lights like stars fallen to the ground. 3 moons hung in the sky, painting the world in silver and blue. It was beautiful, peaceful, so different from the battles he had seen. He placed his hands on the railing and closed his eyes. He remembered the faces of his soldiers. He remembered the cries of civilians seeking safety. He remembered how tired everyone was of fighting. He remembered Earth, home, blue oceans, green forests, laughter, hope. He thought of Valeira's calm voice. "We can build a future without war." Rylan opened his eyes. Maybe this was the path that could change everything. Not victory by force, not surrender, but unity. A new beginning. The night passed slowly, and the first light of morning touched the horizon. Tomorrow, he would speak his decision, and whatever he chose, it would shape the future of the galaxy. Morning came slowly on the Kari homeworld. The sky glowed with soft colors of pale gold and violet as the 3 moons faded behind the rising sun. The city below woke with gentle sounds, the distant hum of airships, market bells calling workers, and the quiet voices of Kari citizens beginning their day. But in one high guest chamber, Captain Rylan Hayes had not slept. He stood near the window watching the sunrise. He had spent the entire night thinking about the future, a future that could be peaceful, or could fall back into endless war. The door opened quietly behind him. It was Princess Valeira. She entered without guards. Her steps were slow and soft. She did not wear ceremonial clothing this time. Instead, she wore simple light armor, fitted but not heavy. It showed she was not only a princess, but someone who understood the weight of responsibility. "You did not sleep," she said. Rylan smiled tiredly. "How could I? The choice I make today will change everything." Valeira walked beside him and looked out the window as well. "Many think that war ends with victory," she said. "But victory is not the same as peace. True peace takes courage, patience, and trust." She turned her head slightly to look at him. "This marriage is not easy. I do not deny that. It is a great step, a step into the unknown, but I believe something new can grow from it." Rylan appreciated her honesty. She did not try to control him or pressure him. She simply spoke her belief. He took a deep breath. "Valeira, do you think our people can truly accept this? Humans and Kari together?" Valeira closed her eyes for a moment, thinking. "Not easily. There will be those who refuse, those who fear change, those who still hold anger." She opened her eyes again, calm and steady. "That is why we must lead by example. If the leaders learn to trust, the people will follow slowly." Rylan nodded. Her words felt true. Before he could speak again, a horn sounded from outside the window, the signal for the start of the royal court session. "It is time," Valeira said gently. Rylan's heart beat faster. He had made his choice. The night had helped him understand something important. War could not continue, not if there was even a small chance for peace. He turned and walked toward the grand hall with Valeira by his side. The great throne room was just as grand as before. Tall pillars, glowing crystals, guards standing like statues. The queen sat on her throne, waiting. Human diplomats stood nervously off to one side. Kari council members watched with careful eyes. Rylan stepped forward. Everyone fell silent. Queen Syraxis leaned forward slightly. Her golden eyes narrowed with interest. "Captain Rylan Hayes, you have had the night to think. Speak now. What is your decision?" Rylan did not look down. He did not look afraid. His voice was calm. "I accept the marriage," he said. The hall filled with sudden reactions. Whispers, gasps, murmurs from both sides. Some were shocked. Some were confused. Some were relieved. But the queen smiled slowly, a deep, proud smile. "Then peace will have a future," she said. Valira did not smile widely, but her eyes showed something warm. Respect, appreciation, and perhaps a small beginning of trust. The human diplomats looked unsure, but they saw the hope in Rylan's decision. They understood the meaning. Ending the war was more important than pride. The queen raised her hand. The hall fell silent again. "Let it be known across the stars," she declared, her voice strong and clear. "The war is over. The human Captain Rylan Hayes will marry Princess Valira of the Kari. Our two peoples shall walk a new path together." Deep sound rang through the hall as Kari guards struck their spears on the floor in ceremonial unity. The sound was like thunder, but not everyone accepted this easily. In the far chambers of council, some Kari lords whispered, "A human should not sit beside the royal blood. How do we know this is not a trick? Humans are small and weak. They are not like us." And in the human delegation, some officers whispered, "This is too sudden. We cannot trust them. What if this peace is a trap?" The world did not change in one moment. Rylan understood this. Valira understood this. The queen understood this. Peace was not a door that opened easily. It was a path that needed to be walked step by step. Later that day, Rylan and Valira toured the city together. It was important for people to see them side by side. The city was beautiful. Tall crystal towers shined under the light. Markets were colorful and lively. Children ran through the streets laughing, their scales glowing lightly in the sun. And everywhere, citizens stopped to look at the two. Some bowed respectfully, some stared with curiosity. One small Kari child tugged gently on Rylan's coat. He looked down. "Are you the human who will marry our princess?" the child asked. Rylan knelt so he could speak at eye level. "Yes, I am. Will there still be war?" the child asked. Rylan smiled softly. "No, not if we do our best to understand each other." The child nodded thoughtfully, then ran back to their family. Valira watched this with a gentle expression. "You speak kindly," she said. "I want peace to feel real," Rylan answered. "Not just written." Valira looked at him quietly, and something inside her softened. That evening, the queen invited both human and Kari representatives to a formal dinner. It was not a celebration yet, but a symbolic gathering. Food was served from both cultures. Human bread and fruits, Kari mineral-rich grains, and starleaf salads. The hall smelled warm and comforting. The queen stood and raised her cup. "Tonight we share food because we now share destiny," she said. Rylan and Valira sat side by side. They spoke lightly, learning small things about each other. Valira liked to meditate at sunrise. Rylan liked to drink tea before long journeys. Valira had trained with warrior monks. Rylan had grown up near forests and rivers. Their worlds were different, but their hearts did not feel distant. But peace, even in its first steps, always faces challenge. After the dinner, as the hall was clearing, a loud voice echoed from one corner. A Kari warrior stepped forward angrily. He wore battle markings on his armor. "I do not accept this," he shouted. "A human does not deserve our princess. The war should not end. The Dominion should have victory, not compromise." Guards moved to stop him, but the queen raised her hand. They froze. The warrior pointed at Rylan. "If the human wishes to stand with us, let him prove his strength. Let him show he is worthy." The hall held its breath. Rylan did not step back. He did not show fear. He simply asked calmly, "What must I do?" The warrior growled. "A trial of honor, not a battle to the death. A test of courage. A test of heart. Show the Kari that you are not weak." Rylan looked at the queen. "If this will help our peace, I will face the trial." Valira's eyes widened. "Rylan," but he nodded to her. "Peace must be earned." "I understand that." The queen finally spoke. "Very well. At dawn tomorrow, the trial of honor will be held. Let all see the resolve of the one who chooses peace. Rylan exhaled slowly. The future of unity now rested not only on words, but on the strength of his heart. The sun rose slowly the next morning, painting the Kari capital with warm gold light. The sky was clear, and a soft wind moved through the banners hanging over the palace walls. Today was the day of the trial of honor. Captain Rylan Hayes stood in the center of a large open arena. The ground was smooth stone, marked with ancient symbols. Around the arena were thousands of Kari citizens, warriors, elders, children, and even humans from the diplomatic team. All of them had come to watch. This was not a fight to defeat or destroy. The trial was a test of courage, endurance, and heart. Kari warriors had taken this test for generations to prove their loyalty, strength, and honor. Now, for the first time in their history, a human was taking it. Princess Valyra stood nearby, watching with calm but worried eyes. She understood the value of the trial, but she also knew Rylan's life would become much harder if he failed. Many citizens would reject the marriage if they believed the human was weak. Queen Syraxis sat on her high seat overlooking the arena. Her expression was unreadable, but her eyes followed every movement carefully. The warrior who challenged Rylan yesterday stepped into the arena. His name was Commander Drath. He was tall, strong, and known for his discipline. Today he did not carry weapons, only wore light ceremonial armor. Rylan, in contrast, wore only simple training clothes. He did not have the physical strength of a Kari, but his stance was firm and his eyes were steady. Commander Drath raised his voice so that all could hear. This trial has 3 parts. The first, endurance. The second, focus. The third, courage. Complete them, and you will be accepted as one who walks beside us with honor. Rylan nodded. I am ready. The trial began. The first trial. Endurance. Large stone pillars rose from the ground, creating a circular path around the arena. Between them were obstacles made of heavy stone blocks, raised platforms, and tall walls. The challenge was to move through the course faster than Commander Drath. A horn sounded. Both men began to run. Drath moved like a storm, fast and powerful. His legs pushed him forward with natural strength. He climbed walls easily and leaped across pillars like it was nothing. Rylan was not as fast, but he was steady. He climbed with focus, using his hands and feet carefully. He did not waste energy. He did not panic. The crowd watched closely. Some expected Rylan to fall behind and fail quickly, but he did not. He remembered years of training, climbing through destroyed ships, running through difficult terrain during missions, surviving where many could not. He was not the strongest, but he did not give up. When he slipped from a stone ledge, he did not lose hope. He tried again. When his arms tired, he continued to climb. When his lungs burned, he kept breathing and moving. The crowd slowly grew silent. They expected weakness, they saw determination. By the end of the trial, Drath finished first, but Rylan finished not far behind. Drath looked at Rylan with new respect. He nodded once. He does not break, Drath said to the spectators. A murmur spread through the crowd. For Kari, endurance was strength. Rylan had passed the first test. The second trial, focus in the center of the arena, 4 tall fountains rose and released streams of sparkling water. Each fountain produced a soft musical tone. The sounds formed a pattern, a sequence. This was a trial of mind. Rylan and Drath sat on the ground with their eyes closed. They had to repeat the pattern by touching the fountains in the correct order, using only memory and sound. The crowd grew quiet. Even children stopped talking. The tones began. Low, medium. High, medium. Low. High. Rylan listened carefully. His breathing slowed. He focused. He had practiced calm thinking during long starship missions. He remembered radio signals, battle orders, and strategic patterns during stressful moments. His mind learned to stay still even when fear tried to shake it. Droth touched the fountains confidently, but he made one small mistake. The sound echoed wrong. The crowd gasped. Rylan reached forward and touched the fountains in the correct order, one by one, calmly, steadily. When the final tone rang out clear and gentle, the crowd fell silent, then slowly began to whisper. The human succeeded. He has strong mind. Even Droth lowered his head in acknowledgement. The Queen spoke. Captain Rylan Hayes has passed the second trial. Velyra allowed a small breath of relief to leave her chest. Her eyes softened. The third trial. Courage, this was the final test. In the center of the arena stood a single platform. On it rested a glowing crystal orb. The orb showed visions, memories, fears, doubts. It was not physical strength that decided this test. Only the heart could succeed here. Rylan stepped forward. The Queen explained, "The orb of reflection reveals your deepest fears. To pass, you must look at them and not turn away." Rylan touched the orb. The world around him blurred and shifted. He was no longer in the arena. He was back on a battlefield. Smoke filled the air. He saw his soldiers, some wounded, some calling for help. He saw decisions he had made. He saw moments he wished he could change. He heard voices of those he could not save. He felt the weight of responsibility pressing on his chest. In the vision, Rylan knelt. The world around him darkened. Then, he heard another voice. Not from the battlefield, but from memory. Velyra's voice. True peace takes courage, patience, and trust. Rylan opened his eyes within the vision. He looked at the fear. He did not run. He did not shut it out. He accepted it. "I did my best," he said softly, "and I will continue to do my best. I will not fear the past. I will not fear the future. I choose to walk forward." The battlefield faded. Rylan stood again in the arena. The orb went silent. The crowd was completely still. Then Queen Syraxis slowly stood. Her voice rang out powerful and strong. "The human has passed the trial of honor." The arena exploded with sound. Cheers, applause, voices calling out in excitement. Even those who doubted now looked with respect. Commander Droth approached Rylan. He placed one hand on Rylan's shoulder. "Not all strength is muscle," he said. "You have the strength of heart. You are worthy." Rylan nodded. "Thank you." Velyra stepped forward and stood beside him. There was no fear between them now. Only a beginning of understanding. The union. The marriage ceremony took place 1 week later. It was held on a high balcony overlooking the glowing city. Humans and Kari stood together. The air was filled with music unlike any heard before, human strings and Kari crystal chimes playing in harmony. Rylan wore simple ceremonial robes. Velyra wore a flowing garment of white and silver that caught the light beautifully. When they stood together, they looked different, yes, but they also looked complete in purpose. The Queen placed her hands on their shoulders. "Let this union mark a new chapter in our stars. Let the children of our future inherit peace." Rylan and Velyra exchanged gentle bows. Not love yet, but respect, and the promise of a future where love could grow. A new beginning. Peace did not spread instantly. There were still disagreements, fears, old anger. But the presence of Rylan and Velyra gave hope. They visited human worlds together, showing unity. They visited Kari colonies, teaching understanding. Children of both species learned side by side in new schools. People began to believe, not because they were forced, but because they saw that peace was possible. Together, Rylan and Velyra built a bridge between worlds, a future where their children, strong, wise, and kind, would inherit not war, but the stars.